So good morning again. Uh, we're going to talk about the hypothesis that this is the best time to build consumer brands in India. Uh, Most of us have been in the business, and we were marketers even 10 years back. And I'm going to reel out some names. Those were only noises. We didn't even know funny names like Mama Earth, yeah, Nika, yeah, Yoga Bar, Bombay Shaving. What else? You guys can add, yeah, Epigamia, yeah, Soulful, yeah, yeah. Now, these are things that have come up, become visible, have had their exits and buyouts or IPOs, all in the last few years. When I talk to my some of the established brand colleagues like Tan, Grishma here, they say, "पैसे नहीं बनाते हैं, easy money is available, not serious businesses, but well, somebody is paying solid premium for what they're building." Others, lots of them, many people in the room are saying, "Yeah, this is probably the opportunity." There are different facets. What I like is we have people who are building brands. Either from scratch or as relatively new entrants, people who are from legacy homes or brand houses, and there are some of us who are the theater or the platform owners where all this gets played out. So I will talk about one brand, the OG, if I can say, of building brands in the new India. The brand is called Ching Secret. The first one that broke the mold and said, I'm a newbie, don't have the money or the wherewithal to go to full India, therefore I will only go to supermarket India. I'm assuming that Ajay Gupta, the founder, is not in the room. I hope not. I've seen it from scratch. When I was doing my retail, that's when Ajay Gupta started Ching's, the brand, and made all the mistakes. But all the mistakes kept making all the mistakes. Many people don't know, but he did Italian, he did Thai, he did lots of these things, but made all the mistakes just in supermarkets. Whatever worked for him, kept extending it. Kept saying, India is too big for me, for someone like me. I will take chunks of it. I will do brand building in one state at a time. And today, what is what. But is there a fundamental thing that all of us as practitioners read about, whether it's the consumer, whether it's the buying capacity, whether it's the channel, whether it's the media, that is aligning in a manner that it's a good idea to build brands in this new India, is what I think we should be talking about. So the pedigree challengers and the newbies have a go at it first. Gitika, you can start.
Yes, thank you so
much. And tell your stories of how you read this market.
Okay, so firstly, thank you for inviting us on this panel. And I represent Hershey, the chocolate company, and it is only in 2020 that Hershey's actually went national with chocolates in India. Yeah, so in that sense, it is a newbie. Of course, it is super well known in the US. So if you've had cousins coming in and bringing Hershey chocolates in suitcases, that may well have been your first memory. So Hershey, over the last few years, as we have built it, and exactly as Damodar was saying, we have really absolutely kind of moved from a zero to what we would like to believe a number 3 player now in the premium chocolate segment. So for us to do that, what comes in our way, and this is absolutely the right time, what has helped us is the fact that consumers are willing to try new things. So there is this big embracing of, especially in foods, actually big. So, and to your Ching's example as well, in foods, we see consumers are absolutely wanting to try newer things, newer flavors, a known brand, but coming up in a new category. And we have also launched, our signature kisses as our first salvo in that sense, but also exotic darks. So, different combinations that works, dark chocolates, and Mr. Sodhi was mentioning how, Amul is in chocolates. Dark chocolates as a category is really exploding for us. So newer products catering to consumers and keeping consumers at the heart doesn't go out of fashion. So any single brand, Ching's, anybody else, and I'm sure everybody in the panel would also speak, we have kept consumers at heart, just launched some things which are right for them, and also engaging with them in different ways where they are. So of course, digital, for example, has been a big and important lever for us to really build our brand strength. And we personalize it, we speak with them differently. So I think that's really helped us move from, like I said, 0 to a number 3 player now.
We heard from Mr. Sodhi about protein and non-vegetarian becoming big. So the fresh to home opportunity, again creating completely from scratch, not branded really in any significant way. How do you see this opportunity? How do you see it playing out in your case?
Yeah, hi. Am I audible? Yeah, thanks. And thanks for this expert panel, all veterans. Great to be amongst them. At Fresh to Home, we believe that the audience, I think that is something that it's true with India. I'm sure most of the people will agree. We segmentize the audience and the customer audience. There would be this, from the income level, household income level. So the value, ultimately, we will have to provide value to customers, right? And perception of value is the customers. It is with the customers, right? So the price benefit equation for each segment would be completely different, right? So whether the health promise, the convenience promise, the experience promise would be completely different from these 3 segments that we have. So one is 2 lakhs above, one to 2 lakhs, and around 40,000 to 1 lakh. These are the 3 income segments that we have done, right? So Fresh to Home, from being an online player, which has, I think, created and captured the big part of the market, now is actually getting into the second tier of the segment. It is not that only the top income level segment is the online customers. So online customers are also 2 things. One is convenience, and second is deals. If you know, it varies across categories. So once you identify that, and you would be clear as to where the brand should play the next level. So the next game that we are doing is an offline, which is basically where 97.5% of the customers are buying from. So retail formats, working with other supermarkets/hypermarkets into reaching the customers for tapping that segment is the next stage for Fresh to Home.
Thanks. Then people talk more about Kesh King, but less people talk about Indulekha. Yeah, in Grishma, people talk about paper boat a lot more than they talk about Zero, and they talk about Minute Maid and the energy drink action that is happening. So how do you look at, and from your perspective, both in terms of opportunity of what you're building and your perspective on newbies that are taking a shot at it, how fertile the ground is and how bumpy the ride is going to be as you see it as Unilever and Coke practitioners?
Sure. So look, I think to answer the question, Damodar, that you started with, is this the best time to build? I think absolutely yes, for 3 reasons. If you take consumers, we're a younger country, we've got more nuclear families, we're willing to experiment a lot more with our diet, and therefore willing to experiment a lot more with different kinds of food. So that's one side, which is the consumer demand. Then whether the ecosystem of delivery at convenience or availability of the entire thing that is required to make a recipe in a supermarket like what you do, that's the second. Whether it's convenience to pick what is required, that is also coming through as a good ecosystem. And the third, which used to be a challenge in the past, is making sure a set of consumers can be made aware of the product without burning the balance sheet is also coming through now. Because as we go more digital, you're able to target more selectively and therefore place your promise. And therefore it offers building brands or building franchisees at a cost that is a fraction of what it used to be in the past. So I think it's absolutely the right time. And I think in many ways, it is fashionable to really praise the underdog. Equally, it is a great fashion to really bash the incumbent. It's just in our ethos. And therefore, my view on this is a bit more data-based. There are lots of great opportunities that many startups have come up with. And there is no harm in being fourth or fifth in that line as long as you can democratize and gain a larger share of pie. The only difference is the third or fourth player doesn't get talked around in forums, but the balance sheet speaks for itself. And therefore, I think there is no, that is good and this is bad. It's making us as a company who's existed in this country for over 90 years to be far more nimble, adopt the new processes to really keep the, and Gitika said it, the thing about consumer intimacy and getting the old-fashioned way of understanding what she needs and how you can deliver it better still stays. The benefit we see is you can do it faster with concepts like product market fit or minimum viable product. You can test in market. There are channels that allow it. Your stores allow it. They're more than happy to allow us to experiment. So it's a win-win. And I think if you look at overall packaged foods, while we might compete with each other, it's just about teen penetration. So there's enough space in it for everybody to carve out niche or democratize and grow. So it's the perfect time because conventional marketing does suggest that beyond 10% penetration, you see rapid adoption of categories by consumers. And we are at that tipping point. So it augurs well for all of us as long as we define our addressable market and solve the consumer needs effectively, which can be done by a newbie, it can be done by a startup, as much as it can be done by a legacy player. So for me, this is a great challenge to pivot to new ways of doing things, but the core principles of marketing and the discipline of building brands is what serves us well in this period. Not to mention a healthy balance sheet where you can afford to take the risk and not worry about funding winters.
The healthy balance sheet I will keep aside because what is new in the last 7-8 years in this industry is really investors backing a good idea. Yeah. In your case, it's the legacy company and the corporation that backs a good idea. But if I am Yoga Bar, I don't go hungry for funds in the new India, the way I look at it. Grishma.
Yeah, I mean, I think building on what you said, I think what makes this, like you said, the best time, the most incredibly exciting time to be in the business of consumer here. One thing is actually the competition. I actually think the competition is a great thing because at this level of consumption, as you said, there is space for old bees, new bees, all the bees are welcome, honestly, because it keeps us all on our toes and it keeps the consumer and solving that core shopper's problem at the heart of what we do. So I actually think the pace of competition is a fantastic thing and we welcome it. The second thing I think that makes this an incredibly interesting market and time to be in is that consumers, as you said, are trying to look for new things. They're interested in that. They want value and efficiency, but they are going to stores to learn how to consume. Occasions are being shaped. So we've talked about this. What does Pujo look like when you don't live in Calcutta? That is being formed. What does a Friday night meal look like? Does biryani at home get eaten with a thumbs up? When you have, that afternoon snack, are you also drinking your Coke with it? All of this is up for grabs. And it's a very exciting time for brands to be able to engage with consumers on passion points, but also to actually engage with them to shape these occasions. The ideas in the West like Taco Tuesday. The Taco Tuesday of India will be formed in the next few years and it will become a tradition and a ritual and we won't know where it came from. So I think that's exciting. The fact that it's a brave new world also means that old bees and newbies alike are testing new models. And you talked about that as well. We've recently launched a product called Honest, a green tea product. Now, in the past, I'll be honest, and we have done it. Yeah, there you go. In the past, we would have launched into a new segment the old way, right? Everywhere, all at once. But this time, it's different. It's with one e-commerce partner. It's in 5 cities. Immediately, you're A/B testing every piece of comms. Is she reacting to lemon tulsi flavor? Is she preferring green tea? Is she liking that it comes from Makai Badi? What is working on the click-through rate? Within 5 days of launch, you know which flavor is working better. That is a brave new model. And old be or newbie, it is a very, very exciting time to be building consumer brands here, I think.
It's interesting, and I must share. I see a change in behavior. Everybody is saying we are open to the new way of building brands, and we're very happy when I'll talk about someone who is not on the panel. When a very large brand house like ITC says, you're building lots of branded Indian mithai with the newbies, but we are the food guys and we believe in this consumer. Can we build it with you, test it with you, the way you said about honest tea? Can we build it? Can we learn it? Can we learn it together? Can we do one part of the country and then succeed? They're developing beverages also in tandem with platforms like us, something that, and I've been a retailer for a bit long, so something that I did not see in the first phase of the way retailers work. But before we come to the platform guys, the supermarket wallas, what do we, whether it's e-commerce or whether it's the physical modern store guys, what do we not do well enough? What would be your ask? And this is a public platform. What you ask will get delivered. So, is there a trick that we miss? And there are supermarket wallas, small and large, in the room as well. So, the four brand creators.
This one I want to jump in.
Yes, please do.
Look, couple of things. One, what all of you have educated us well is the concept of velocity, whether it's Jim Roy or in various forms, velocity. And sometimes when there are offerings of multiple variants of a company and you have one that rotates faster, you tend to suffer from share of shelf. And I think in the physical world, quantifying and having a much more data-based, what has velocity gets more space, pristinely, which is reflecting demand, sometimes that tends to be missed. And the same is the concept on the various flywheels that one talks about. You hear the theory of the flywheel, but the practicality of the flywheel is you can pay your way through and outbid, and it is not necessarily the most seamless consumer journey. So I think where there is traction, if that is given the rightful place, we will build larger, profitable franchises for each other a lot better than we do today. I think there's more noise that comes in, which frankly can be avoided.
Maybe just to build on
Yes.
that, and again, different point, but for us, eComm, I think, is a more equitable marketplace. Why? Because everybody gets one tile. Yeah? And as a newbie, therefore, you could be a 70% brand, you would still get one tile to swipe through, and you would be a 3% or a 5%, and you will still get the same. So I think that is a space that as modern trade or as on, retailers, how do we get the ability to be able to also put forth newer offerings in an equitable manner? So it may be different from a perspective of when I was at Unilever, we were, and we discussed Vim Liquid earlier today. So, it is, from that perspective, it feels that, yes, you must have the right share of shelf. But from the perspective of newer building emerging brands, how do we ensure that the new people on the block also get a fair chance to create that consumer niche? And of course, then the consumer intimacy, if you don't have a brilliant product, the repeat wouldn't happen. That's for the brand to then take forth that journey.
We revel in this contrast which just got played out.
Yeah.
Of saying, can you give a place of respect for miswak? vis-a-vis a Colgate. And I'm keeping examples outside the panel. Yeah.
I just want to add one more.
So,
Sorry, I know I'm conscious of time, but just one more to add quickly, saying these newer occasions that were being discussed earlier as well. So of course, everybody does these gifting and Rakhi, Diwali, but you know, suddenly now we have, Halloween. So, you see that a lot more playing out on online platforms, maybe not as much on, physical retail. Maybe that's another area. So leaving you with those two thoughts.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'll add two
Yes.
to the list if it's okay. One, I think there's a big opportunity to build lasting shopper platforms. And I'm blasphemy here, but the brand's interchangeable through them. What are those shopper platforms that make shoppers shop in exciting new ways year on year and doing the same thing consistently so they learn this habit of, I pick and mix a snack and a drink together and it's called something and I do it year on year and it becomes a cross-category platform to build an occasion one. The second thing I really think is, I think retailers are good at using their data for them. Brands are good at using their data for them. What I think we're missing is when the data comes together, I think that 2 + 2 = 10 is yet to happen on the insights, even with loyalty platforms, etc. I think that partnership that really shows how when you put both those datas together, we're able to get to insights that better serve the shopper. I think that is something we can set the path on far more than we do today in partnership.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so we the platform guys, Anuj and Mayank, I think the way brand building happens, we are the dating platform. We are the place where the consumer discovers new offerings. How do you look at, start with you?
Yeah, so actually, before I start, I just want to share a consumer's perspective and,
Yes.
and building on what Tan said. At least when I started off 25 years ago, the entire consumer purchase behavior and the way companies made their proposition was centered around availability or accessibility, affordability, and then was acceptability, which was quality. I think in 25 years, I'll be making the understatement of the century by saying things have changed tremendously. So I think the playbook for both consumers as well as consumer propositions is, I think affordability and value still remains center. People still, whether you're buying a 600 rupee moisturizer, you still want to see that 10% extra or that 10 ml extra. Affordability is still very key. Availability is no longer a differentiator. Now it's just moved to uber convenience. You want it at any point of time. And acceptability in terms of there are a plethora of brands available, all high quality. So really it is, as a consumer, this is the best time. But for a retailer, I think as a supermarket, it also becomes equally challenging. So somebody's nirvana can be somebody's nightmare. Because now you need to give products which are value, large variety, and they also need it in absolute convenient forms. So I think here, the way supermarkets have to partner with brands in meeting these consumer demands is to really create some deep-rooted partnerships which go beyond just value and convenience. It has to evolve into more of experience. And if I were to share a very tangible example, if you look at, let's say we're just all coming out of a 2-month gifting or a festive season. 10, 15 years ago, gifting during Diwali was, I think, Gitika might not like it, but it was just Cadbury's which was doing their celebration. Today, you see, it is every category has a Diwali gift pack, even in deodorants. Who would think that, deodorant would be a festive gift offer? I think in India, the way we are, every month there is a festive occasion. So there is a tremendous opportunity to see and create propositions which could fit. And just one example which I saw this season, of course, Durga Puja is big, Diwali is big. I saw during Navratri, smart retailers were creating bundles which were specific for fasting occasions. So, on the first day you eat sabudana and you don't eat this. So there were those bundles which are there. I think this is where retailers can partner with brands in creating those propositions which are more experiential. You gave the example of Ching's. I can give the example. I represent Spencer's, which is dominant in the East. We had a similar example. There was a brand, and you'll hear from the CEO tomorrow of that brand. They were entering into the Momo category. Yes. They had started with kiosks, but they came to our supermarkets and they set up in the food courts these Momos thing. And that today, They're no longer there in all of our supermarkets, but their products are there in all the freezers. So I think this is a way in which you kind of, build experiences and, help cater to this thing. So definitely very exciting time if you're a consumer, but equally challenging time if you're a brand or a supermarket.
Mike, what is your view?
Yeah, so I'd like to talk about our journey at Food Square, where I've first been a consumer.
Yes.
And then in 2019, I came back to India and we started large-scale organic farming because I was not happy with the kind of fresh produce available in India compared to a Singapore or a Dubai where I lived and worked previously. And my goal at that time was simple: just grow in India, export to two of these geographies, make your dollars and make your money. Unfortunately, or today in hindsight, fortunately, that business started 3 months before COVID, and the entire export plan had to be thrown out of the window. And we had to quickly scramble and pivot and find the best consumers in India and where these consumers shop in India to try to sell to. We got a first break with Nature's Basket in 2020. And that's when the growth from 2020 to today, we realized that these foreign markets that you think exist only overseas, they're actually here in India. The metro cities, the affluent towns, and a lot of the consumers today are so well-traveled, affluent, aspirational, and they want what they can get in a London where they spend their summer, or in a Thailand where they go for New Year's, or wherever they travel overseas. They want it today, in today's India, and now. And that's what gave us the confidence and feedback to start Food Square, where we are very clear about the super affluent yet discerning value-seeking Indian consumer wanting his produce, his grocery, and his imported food from around the world. And the way you do it is modeling it on their need of an experience or an ability that they can't get online, where you can never taste or feel or savor the product. And food, right? Food is essential. It's smell, it's taste. It has a lot of other things to it. So that's how we started off Food Square.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm glad you bring it up because we often hear about affordability being the cornerstone of succeeding in India. But you are saying there is in every niche there is a segment which is large enough, and global benchmark products and services can also an opportunity that can flourish, and we do it at Fresh Pick as well, and growing and how. So, giving my perspective as a fellow retailer, and linking to what I said right in the beginning, I think apart from selling to the customer and making margins, I'm in the business of influence. But even with the starting conviction that the pie is going to grow, and to what Grishma said, what looks like friction and clash in the category is actually a force that makes the pie grow faster. But what we do often will look like playing the contrast that came between the way Hershey looks at our behavior and the way Dove looks at our behavior in terms of what we should be doing on our platform. I firmly believe, and it's not mere default or coincidence, I firmly believe there is a reason why essentially FMCG guys and consumer business people are leading retail in India. Yeah. It's not supply chain, it's not operations, it's not efficiency. Because the upside of creating consumption is much higher than everything else. So we will influence the demand, mostly with you, but sometimes with your competition, and with sometimes newbies and old bees, and sometimes with our own dribbling with our own branding. But on the whole, I think the opportunity and the customer readiness seems worth it. And to give one example, which is from the panel, I'm waiting for, in laundry segment, I've been doing funny things with Unilever for 10 years, and I'm waiting for my consumer to push back, saying, ye zyada ho gaya. Yeah. We started selling 6 kilos of detergent. Took a lot of effort and courage to do that. She absorbed it. Then we started selling big boxes and 6 kilos of machine wash detergent. And even my friends at Unilever said, what do people do with 6 kilos? Do they make upma going back at home? But she didn't push back. We did liquid. We started in the conventional way, 500 ml, 1 liter bottles and things of that kind. Within months, we moved to bigger packs. With data, we said, even bigger packs, people are buying multiples. So we now sell in a country where liquid laundry was near non-existent just a couple of years back. We sell 3.5 kilos of laundry liquids to this customer, and she's not pushing back. I think the example apart, the fact that with brands, newbies or old bees, we keep taking these risks, play out. बहुत डर लगता है. We do it in one market and test it out. Is probably shaping the toolkit, and we are discovering how big this opportunity can be. Macro numbers, and Mr. Sodhi shared some of them. Sounds right, but we need to, between all the jhagda and the disagreements and the exhilaration between us, we have to keep finding the toolkit which makes it work. And for all the retailers in the room here, protect and build on your influence on the demand. Because I think that will build the power and prosperity for all of us. Thank you everyone for participating. I hope we are in time, and if there is time, we can take any question.